All right, now it's time for our Pixar ride top 10 list. This is including all the rides from Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure here in California. There's more in other countries and Florida and places, but Pixarfest is only going on here as far as I know.
As far as I know as well. Maybe it's going on somewhere else. I don't know.
But we don't care about that. So what's your number one?
Okay, number one, the Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind. No. So my number one is going to be the Radiator Springs Racers.
That's quite the coincidence, because my number one is also Radiator Springs Racers.
There we go. Yeah, so Radiator Springs Racers, it kind of has everything. It's a well-themed ride. It looks really good when you go into Cars Land. Like, it's a fantastic looking ride. It's a fun thrill ride. It's a unique ride. You know, you kind of whip around real fast, and it's a racing ride. It's a good ride.
Yeah, I think it's probably not the biggest thrill ride, but it has just the best combination of thrilling plus theming plus technology plus story.
Yeah.
It basically hits every check mark on the list. It's just a really well-rounded, fun ride.
Yeah.
When I guess when you think of the downsides of it is just due to its sheer popularity, it consistently has one of the highest wait times. They also want you to pay usually around $21 for a...
Is it $21?
Lightning Lane, around there. And that's just for that ride. That's not Genie Plus as a whole. That's just for the single Lightning Lane. But if you don't want to spend that money, the single rider is a good alternative. It really cuts down your wait. Unlike
it does.
Some other rides, Matterhorn.
True.
But so that's our number one pick. You should give it a twirl.
Yeah. Okay, number two. Here we have the Incredicoaster.
I also line up with that. I put down the Incredicoaster as my second on the list.
Good choice. Yeah, the Incredicoaster, it's a roller coaster. It's either the most intense thrill ride at Disneyland, California Adventure, either that or probably Guardians of the Galaxy. But it's a fun ride. It's a good roller coaster. I look forward to going on that ride. You know, it always wakes me up. I love that launch in the beginning. It's a good launch. Yeah, overall fun ride. The theming is not the best. It's they kind of just tacked on some like Incredibles theming. So in terms of Disney theming, it's not really there, but it's just, for me, it's a ride that I look forward to going on when I go there.
Yeah, like Andrew said, it is like a true roller coaster. You look at it and you say, that's a roller coaster. And it's a steel roller coaster, but they really try to give it that old look of the old wooden roller coasters, which is kind of cool, and it harkens back to the Paradise Pier days.
Yeah. Just
a few fun facts that I had written down about this roller coaster. It was originally called California Screamin'. And is the 6th largest steel coaster in the world and the 3rd largest in the United States. And it has a max speed of 55 miles per hour. Sorry, Sammy Hagar. Only goes 55. Yeah, I think Andrew pretty much covered everything. It's like the real sad part about it, like we love The Incredibles, but it's really they just stuck some mannequins on there, changed the soundtrack to the Incredibles soundtrack, which we love the soundtrack, but it doesn't line up with the twists and turns and ups and downs with this roller coaster that you had with the original soundtrack when it was California Screamin'. I mean, that one was tailor-made for this ride, and it's just like, you go on the ride with the music.
Yeah.
The music that they have now it's not the same. Like,
and it's not even really music almost. It's like a mashup of music and Incredibles characters' dialogue. I don't know. It's okay. It's kind of just like some tacky Incredibles theming, that's been thrown onto California Screamin' just to fit the Pixar Pier theme. So I mean, I get it. They needed to re-theme the ride to fit the Pixar Pier theme, but I mean, it's kind of just some stuff thrown on there.
Yeah, but it's a fun roller coaster.
The roller coaster's fun. That's why we are giving it number 2, because it's one of the most fun rides there.
That's right.
So,
all right, let's move on. Okay, now we're to number 3. That's the number 3. My number 3 is the Finding Nemo submarine voyage at Disneyland. And the first 2 rides that I have on my list are both thrill rides. This one, you can't call that a thrill ride, but the nostalgia factor is huge on this one. This one is built upon the submarine voyage, which originally opened at Disneyland in 1959, which is, if you're doing the math, 4 years after the opening of the park. So you're really seeing a lot of history in this ride, and I think having the lagoon there, the submarines going around, just brings a lot of just a visual appeal to that whole area.
It does.
And, you have to give a little appreciation to Nemo and his friends, because I believe it was 1998, the ride closed indefinitely when it was the submarine voyage. Some thought it might never come back, but then in 2007, Nemo and his friends brought it back to life, and a lot of the original is still there. Most of what changed is, the color scheme and some of the soundtrack, but most of what changed is in part of the dark ride portion of it. They added some, I guess, projection or screens that kind of reenact scenes from the movie. But I give it lots of points for just the nostalgia factor alone. And I assume Andrew agrees.
Well, let me just go off of what Eric was saying here. I agree. The submarines do have a lot of nostalgia factor there. I personally don't remember ever riding the submarines. I think I did, and I remember the submarines being there, but I could not tell you anything about the actual ride itself. I don't remember anything from the ride. I just remember there were submarines there.
I'm old enough to remember going on the ride when I was a kid, and they actually had like live women wearing scuba gear dressed as mermaids swimming in the lagoon, waving to you in the little portholes. They don't do that anymore, and there's probably a good reason for that.
Yeah. See, I don't remember any of that. I just remember the submarines being there. And then for years, I remember the lagoon still being there and no submarines. But I was just like, why don't they just bring the submarines back? The lagoon is still here. They should just make use of that space. And then they did. They brought it back and they rethemed it to Finding Nemo, which I approve of. I love Finding Nemo. Good movie. And the submarine currently, I think it's a good ride. I think a lot of people don't like that ride for a few reasons. I think it's a little underrated, in my opinion. I get the people's arguments why they don't like the ride. Like, the seats are a little tight and narrow.
I think I take up about 3 of those little. Each seat's about the size of a piece of toast.
Yeah.
So, you get your Wonder Bread out. It's about the size of one of those.
The things that people don't like about the ride are valid. The seats are pretty small and narrow. The window that you have to look through, you have to kind of like lean down and forward if you're, taller. The submarine gets a little hot. It can get a little smelly in there. People get a little claustrophobic in there. Those things, for me, don't particularly bother me all that much. I know, like, I get all that stuff, but it doesn't bother me all that much. I think it's a pretty unique ride. It's the only ride at both parks that goes underwater. It's the only ride you go in a submarine. The transitions for the ride with the bubble effect, making you feel like you're diving or coming back up and surfacing. I think that's a pretty cool effect. I like the Finding Nemo theme. There's some interesting scenes. It's a good long ride. So like relative to how long the wait for that ride is and how much ride you get, like the amount of time you get on the ride, it's a good bang for your buck. So I think the ride is a little underrated in my opinion. But all that being said, that is not my third place ride. My third place ride is Toy Story Mania. So the reason why I put Toy Story Mania number 3 is I think of the interactive rides at both parks, it's the best one in my opinion. So the shooting mechanism on Toy Story Mania is very accurate. You get a lot of visual feedback, you get a lot of like sensory feedback with wind, you get a lot of auditory sound feedback on where you're actually shooting targets. So your accuracy is like very precise. Some other rides like Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, I'll be shooting and I'll see like 5 other laser dots that are like blinking near a target and I don't know which one is mine, and it's like very hard to tell where I'm actually shooting on that ride. The graphics are really good for the 3D screens on Toy Story Mania. It's fun. I love Toy Story and I'm a competitive gamer, so I enjoy friendly competition like that. Overall, I think it's a ride that I'm like, oh yeah, this is a fun ride. Like I enjoy going on Toy Story Mania. It's not like a thrill ride, but it's fun. It's entertaining. The shooting mechanism can get tiring after a while. You're like going there like rapid fire, and your shoulder like starts to get pretty fatigued. But I mean, you could say the same for the other interactive shooting rides, like Spider-Man. You're doing the whole hand thing repetitively, and then Buzz Lightyear, you're doing your trigger finger like super fast, so you kind of get tired doing any of that type of ride.
I think we'll move on to the next one.
Okay, moving on to number 4. We have, so this is where it starts to get a little tricky for me. There's a few of these rides where I could have really put any of them at this number 4 spot, but I'm just going to go ahead and say Pixar Pal Around, but the swinging version, not the non-swinging version, because that one I'm ranking separately in a different spot. So Pixar Pal Around, the reason why I'm giving it the number 4 spot over some of these other ones, you get a good view up there, so that's pretty unique and different from a lot of the other rides at the park. So if you enjoy like seeing, the park from up above, it's good for that. And the swinging version makes the ride a little more entertaining. Some people, scream and get a little scared on the ride. It's kind of makes it kind of fun. Yeah, it makes it a little more interesting. The non-swinging version, you can get a little boring at times. It can be a little slow. So the swinging version, you get the best of both. You get the view, you get a nice rest for your legs, you get a nice breeze if it's a hot day. You get a good breeze up there. And the swinging version makes it kind of a little bit exciting. So that's why I give that the number 4 spot. I guess one thing I would add to that, it's tough to rank these because it's not one that I would be like, okay, I want to go ride the swinging version of the Pixar Pal Around if it like me and Eric just were like having to pick any ride to go on. But like if I was taking someone to the park and they had never done any of these rides, I would probably take them on that ahead of a few of these other ones because you get a good view up there. I feel like that's kind of cool and interesting for someone who's never been to the park to see. And the swinging Ferris wheel aspect, that's pretty unique too. Most people have never been on a swinging Ferris wheel. So yeah, that ups the thrill, excitement factor a little bit. So that's why I give that number 4.
Pixar Pal Around just missed making my number 4. I actually put that one at my number 5, mainly because I ranked mine a little bit differently than Andrew did. I considered both the swinging and non-swinging, so that to me made it a little bit lower. You're probably not going to want to do the non-swinging because you don't always even get a full rotation. And you just kind of just sit there, and you can get just as good a view if you just go to the hotel and take the elevator up, look out, if you want to be up high and see the park. But the swinging version offers a lot of fun. It's never the same ride. If I was just considering that, I might have put it up at 4 like Andrew did, but for me, since I was considering non-swinging as a con, I put it a little bit lower. The other con on that ride for me is just, even though it has a relatively short wait time, it's typically, we've seen it posted around 20 to 25 minutes at most. It feels a lot longer. It just, you feel like you're waiting forever, and I'm not really sure why. I mean, it's just because you're standing in one place for a while as they load each car. I mean, the ride itself is basically loading and unloading for the whole experience.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you know, it's a fun little swing, and you get some good views while you're doing it, and it's never the same ride twice. You know, it's a fun ride. But if we're talking my number 4 is Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. There's not really too many reasons I'd say I put it there, other than it's a fun ride. You're moving around almost like teacups, but you're not in control, and you're just being whipped back and forth, swinging around in this kind of like a back compartment, I guess. I don't know, like a trailer.
Yeah.
And it's always a fun ride, and the wait time is almost always short. I mean, seems like even on busy days, it'll be 15 minutes at most, and it moves pretty quick. So that's just a good one to get on quick on a busy day, have fun, and get on to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on number 5, and as I mentioned before, my pick for number 5, I put Pixar Pal Around as my pick for number 5. We already spoken about that at length, so Andrew, what's yours?
So my number 5 was your number 3, I believe, the Finding Nemo submarine voyage, which I already spoke on. You guys heard my reasons why I like and don't like that ride, so yeah,
So it's we'll move on to number 6.
Number 6. So number 6 for me, I did Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. So this ride, yeah, I mean, kind of like what Eric said, it's a fun, quick ride. There's not a whole lot to it. It's kind of like the teacups, kind of like Luigi's. For a very simple, quick ride, it's actually kind of fun. When you go around those turns, it can kind of like whip you around real quick. It's not bad for a quick, simple ride like that. You know, a little exciting at times.
It's simple but fun.
Yeah, that's about all I have for Mater's.
For my number 6, Andrew mentioned it just a second ago, is Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters. Now this ride replaced Luigi's Flying Tires, which was based on the old UFO ride that was in Tomorrowland at Disneyland. And if you're not familiar with it, it's basically bumper cars, but on a giant air hockey table. So you're just kind of like sliding around. And both of those rides pretty much failed because you're just floating around slowly, and they're hard to control. They're slow. It wasn't a fun ride, and the load unload took forever. So to make it more fun, they brought in and changed it to Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters, which is a trackless ride. It is fairly new technology for the time. It wasn't the first trackless car ride, but it was new for the time, and it's basically like a choreographed dance of all these little cars, and you're a part of it. You sit in the car and they dance, and you go along for the ride, and it's fun, but it's similar to Mater's, like Andrew said, but the difference is it's very jerky. You stop, you move, you spin around, and you get jerked around a lot. You almost feel like you're in a washing machine. It's fun, but not as fun as Mater's, and in my opinion, it's one ride that's actually more fun to watch than to actually ride, because it's very cute watching these cars dance around and listening to the music, but it's a different experience when you're inside the car. Should we move on to the next one?
I think so.
Let's do it.
All right, number 7, To Infinity and Beyond. We got Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters. Like I said earlier, I kind of like the interactive games. Well, some of them, I guess. I like the Toy Story Mania one. This one, like I was saying, it's fun. It's an entertaining ride. You can get competitive with it. The main problem I have with it is half the time I can't tell where exactly I'm shooting, because you see so many other laser dots shooting at the same target and you can't really tell which one is yours, so it's hard to like do any like minute corrections to like get right on target. It's a good ride. I just think Toy Story Mania is kind of better all across the board over that one, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, my pick for number 7 is also Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters. And I actually ranked this one higher than Toy Story Midway Mania, even though they're very similar, just for a few reasons. I think the 3D effect in Buzz Lightyear is more realistic. Everything is very 3D looking, and you don't even need glasses, which is very impressive since it's an older ride. It's older than Midway Mania. I feel like the shooting mechanism is slightly less fatiguing than the pullback action on Midway Mania. The main reason why Astro Blasters took the edge for me over Midway Mania is the typical wait time. For some reason, the wait time for Midway Mania is almost always long, and it's not really worth the wait most of the time. If you see it listed over a half hour, in my opinion, it's not really worth it, and typically you're going to be seeing 45-minute or more wait times for that ride, where Buzz Lightyear, you could see 15-minute to 30-minute waits, often less. Often it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm going to chime in real quick. I actually agree with Eric there. A lot of times I will skip Toy Story Midway Mania because it is not worth the really long line that it has. And a lot of times Buzz Lightyear it can get pretty short with its lines sometimes. It is worth a short line like that. But I think we took our rankings a little bit differently. With my ranking, I didn't factor in wait times for any of these rides. I just strictly went off like what ride I enjoy better over others, without thinking about the line wait times.
Other thing about Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters is it kind of has the most ridiculous ride photo of any other ride at the park that offers a ride photo.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, I think they took a webcam off an old Gateway computer from 2001 and just mounted it somewhere in the dark. Like you're basically looking at something that's kind of the equivalent to a Bigfoot video or a blurry picture of aliens. I don't know why they can't update it. They have better cameras now, but they still want to use their Logitech webcam that came with their.
I don't know. Yeah, they need to update the on-ride photo for that ride because it's really bad.
Or just get rid of it completely. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why they think people need a ride where you're like this. You basically like.
It looks like it was taken with the original iPhone. It's about the photo quality that you're gonna get from that ride.
Yeah, the original iPhone in the dark.
Yeah.
While you're holding a plastic toy gun to your face. I guess we don't have much more to say on that matter. We will move on. All right, on to number 8. Yeah, I got it right. Number 8. So we already mentioned it. I mentioned it. We both talked about it late, but my number 8 is Toy Story Midway Mania, and I just put it one slot behind Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters. And your number 8?
My number 8 is Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters. Luigi's, it's like we were saying, kind of similar to Mater's. It's a very simple, quick ride, similar to Mater's, similar to the teacups. It's a little bit different. Eric already explained how the ride works. I just think Mater's is a little bit more interesting. It's a little more, you get whipped around a little bit more. It's a little more exciting, in my opinion, than Luigi's.
So we could probably just move on to number 9. Number 9.
So number 9, going with Monsters, Inc. I think it's Mike and Sully to the Rescue is the full name of it.
That's also my number 9.
That's Eric's number 9 as well. So it's an okay dark ride. Monsters, Inc. is a good movie. I like the Monsters, Inc. Theming is definitely a lot better than what it used to be, which was the Superstar limo. Yeah. I mean, it's an okay ride. What is crazy with that ride is the wait times that ride gets. I don't know how or why people wait like an hour for Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, it's baffling where that even came from and how that started, because for years it's probably been like a 5 to 10 minute wait.
It's always been like a 5, 10, maybe you'd see a 15-minute wait for Monsters Inc.
And I have no explanation for what happened. I mean, if somebody knows why it suddenly has a ridiculous wait time, leave a message in the comments, please.
We are puzzled.
Educate us.
We're puzzled on how and why that ride just became so popular. Because that ride was around for years, and it was just always a quick, like, walk-on ride.
Yeah, and I guess if I was to give my feelings on the ride in general, I'd say it's okay. I mean, they really almost just kind of slapped on a Monsters Inc. veneer to a lot of it. They reused a lot of the original animatronic from Superstar Limo and just put something like they made Regis Philbin. They turned him into Randall, I think, at one point, and all the celebrities are now background characters in this ride, and I guess the other thing about the animatronics too is they're basically mannequins. I mean, they aren't, for the most part, there aren't real full animatronics that are kind of talking, moving, interacting like you expect animatronics to be. Even though it is an older ride, we're not expecting it to be like the newer animatronics that you're seeing, like that's going to be coming to Tiana's Bayou Adventure. But you want to see a little bit more movement, I think, out of these animatronics, rather than just being statues. It's like, oh no, Boo, we're going to have to go do something. I think the only real animatronic on the ride is Roz at the end. You know, she talks to you, she moves.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, it's just like a lot of just kind of just tilting mannequins and recycled animatronics, and even though the ride car is a recycle of the limo, just painted to be like a part of the transit authority, I guess, of Monstropolis. I think the only thing that sets it a little bit better is there are some fun visual effects with the Pepper's Ghost effect of Randall disappearing, and they have some
cool,
light and projection effects, and they have a lot of these really kind of cool mirror effects in the door scene.
Yeah, the door room's pretty cool.
Yeah, it makes it seem very expansive, so that's kind of what makes it a little more elevated. But other than that, for the most part, it just seems a re-theming in the true sense of the word. Yeah,
it's not a bad ride. The only reason why it's ranked so low on the list is because, just for me individually, it's not a ride where I'm like, oh, I want to go ride Monsters Inc. Like I've been on it, I've done it. It's an okay ride. Like if I'm just trying to go on a ride, like I'd probably rather go for something a little more exciting, entertaining, like, you know, Mater's. You know, you kind of get, like I said, you get whipped around a little bit on that one. But Monsters Inc. It's still an okay ride. I would totally ride that ride more if it was the wait time that it used to have of like 5, 10, 15 minutes. I'd be like, okay, yeah, let's go hop on Monsters Inc. But the 30, 40, 50, 60-minute lines that I see for that ride sometimes, I'm like, nah, I'm not down for that. Yeah.
I think we're agreed here.
Yeah.
All right, we're on to number 10.
Number 10.
Of our top 10 plus 1 list. So, number 10 is Jesse's Critter Carousel. And it's a carousel. It's Jesse's.
It is a carousel, and it is Jesse's carousel.
And there are critters.
There are critters. Yeah. That's...
Moving on! All right, on to number 11. And buckle in, folks, because we got a lot to say here. Especially this guy.
I don't think we want to get into everything I have to say about this. I think that's a topic for, you know, a discussion for another video. But Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind comes in at number 11 for me. It's an okay kids ride. It used to be Flix Flyers over in Bugs Land, and it now has been rethemed to Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind, and it is now in the spot where the smoking area used to be And before the smoking area was the Maliboomer. Okay, here, I guess I am getting into it a little bit.
Yes. You got to talk about the Maliboomer.
So it's in the spot where the Maliboomer used to be. Bring back the Maliboomer. Why'd you get rid of it?
Yeah, it really is kind of baffling when you have a fun ride with a consistently short wait that they can just process people through over and over. And if you're not familiar with Maliboomer, it's one of the opening day rides for California Adventure, and it's basically what they call a space shot type of ride. Picture a tower, and you get strapped into a seat, and you get launched up, drop, shot back up, go back down. It's basically a kind of a similar mechanism to Guardians of the Galaxy's Tower of Terror in space. But you're outside, so it makes it a lot scarier when you're just out there floating in the wind. And it was a fun ride. It didn't take up any space, so both of us are just baffled still to this day that they would take out this really effective fun ride and put in a smoking area that was hardly even utilized. And
I didn't even realize it was a smoking area. I just thought it was like plants. It's like a planter area.
It's a hidden smoking area, which really wasn't necessary for a theme park.
Yeah, like Eric said, it was a very fun, high thrill ride, and California Adventure could use more rides in general. And they basically just took that out and replaced it with a smoking area. Now they've put Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind in its spot. Yeah, I don't know.
It's very, very baffling. Like, one of the biggest criticisms I'd give to the park as a whole is it just doesn't have enough rides or shows.
Yeah.
And you're stuck in a lot of long lines. A lot of people use the Genie Plus because of that, and then your lightning lanes wind up taking 45 minutes because everybody's basically forced to get the Genie Plus, and it's a vicious cycle. And, if they had the amount of rides and shows that Disneyland had, it would be a more even experience, I'd say. And it's just really crazy that they'd get rid of something like that, or something like the Aladdin / Frozen / Rogers the Musical show that they have at the Hyperion, which is just sitting empty. Like, that's something that people could get off their feet, experience, have fun with the family. Things like the shows don't have a long wait time most of the time, unless it just first came out, and they really need to fix this problem.
I think we'll save the rest of this discussion for another video, because we have I think we have a lot more we could get into on this topic, with all of like Bugs Land and Avengers Campus, and there's just more that we could discuss. But let's bring this back to just the emotional whirlwind. Well, I guess that just kind of took us for an emotional whirlwind right there.
Yeah.
So the ride itself, it's very simple. You just lifts you up, and it kind of swings you through the air very slowly.
Yeah, it's like a carousel, but you're slightly higher up in the air and you're in a box.
Yeah, it was between that or Jesse's Critter Carousel for the 11th spot. And I was just like, I think I actually enjoyed the carousel a little bit more.
Yeah, you had fun music, and you get to go up and down, and the critters are adorable. I like me some critters.
So that's about it. Yeah.
I do have an honorable mention. It's not a ride, but there is another Pixar attraction at California Adventure. It's called Turtle Talk with Crush, and it's the second oldest Pixar attraction at both of those parks. It opened in 2005, a few months after Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters. And it's just a cute little show. You go into a little theater, and they have a projection of Crush. He talks to the kids. They interact. It's a lot of funny improv between the back and forth between Crush and the kids. And it's just a fun little entertaining thing. And it's a show, and it's still going. So good on you, DCA, with that one. But we need more stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember when that show first came out, and I watched it. And I was like one of the kids in the audience that was able to talk to Crush, and I don't remember what I said, but I remember like being like kind of mind blown. I was like, whoa, like Crush is talking to me. That's it It was cool. Yeah, not a ride, but it's a pretty entertaining show.
Yeah, it's cute and fun, and you get to sit in the air conditioning for 10 to 15 minutes. So yeah, it's worth checking out.
Yep.
And there's usually never a wait until just between show to show. All right, so that's our top 10 plus one list. Where do they come in for you? Are we way off base? Are we crazy? Are we insane? Are you going to make fun of us? Call us names?
Probably.
You can call him names.
Call that one names.
I'm used to it. So yeah, tell us what you think. Tell us what your top 10 plus one is. How would you rank these rides? And we'll see you in the next one. And sorry, I just kicked the tripod. One more time, come on.